Breaking news in college basketball. Ole Miss has officially hired Chris Beard as their next head coach. Beard heads to Oxford after Texas fired him following his arrest on a domestic violence charge. That charge was eventually dismissed. Beard now replaces Kermit Davis, who was fired near the end of the regular season there at Ole Miss. So as Beard heads out to Mississippi to be their new head coach, to look at his profile in his career, this will be his 9th season he will enter as a head coach after stops at Little Rock, Texas Tech, and Texas. The 2019 AP Coach of the Year, one of the first things mentioned in Ole Miss's release, announcing the hiring of Beard, a 4-time conference coach of the year. So Beard has done some winning and now will be tasked with trying to rebuild a program at Ole Miss that has struggled out there on the hardwood. Now bringing our college basketball expert, Matt Norlander. Matt, thank you so much for joining us. First, your initial reaction. We knew that this likely was happening with Chris Beard heading to Ole Miss, but now that it is official, what are your thoughts there?
My thoughts are that this will be a controversial hire, and understandably so. Chris Beard did have his domestic violence felony charge dropped against him earlier this year. Now, just a quick recap. The reason why this is going to be a controversial hire is Beard was fired from Texas in early January. That happened a few weeks after his fiance called 911 in the midst of a domestic dispute and claimed that Beard strangled her, bit her, threw her off the bed. Now, she retracted parts of that statement 11 days later and also took responsibility for being the instigator of the incident. And so that, combined with the local district's attorney's office in Travis County, Texas, in Austin, Texas, where Beard lives, led to that local DA's office to say, we don't have enough evidence here to pursue this charge and prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. So Chris Beard has no charge against him. Doesn't mean that people won't be disgusted with the fact that Chris Beard has been hired to a power conference job before we even get to the end of the season, let alone waiting down the road. Now, Ole Miss did do its diligence. The two sides had been talking for weeks at this point, and about 5 days ago, this looked like this is the way it was heading, but they had to check every single line, do every possible bit of vetting here to be comfortable with the situation, and Ole Miss is comfortable with it. Ole Miss has landed a coach that it never would have had a chance at 4, 5, 6 years ago in Chris Beard. But Chris Beard doesn't have a lot of options, and he took the best one afforded to him, and so he will head down to Oxford in one of the 2 or 3 toughest jobs in men's basketball in the SEC. And we'll see what he does there, but it is going to come. And I know the NCAA tournament's about ready to get going. This is a major national sports headline, and it will come with some support locally, but it will also come with no shortage of blowback, considering the circumstances that led to Beard's firing at Texas.
You mentioned the vetting that Ole Miss went through to try to eventually decide they wanted to hire Beard. Can you give a little bit more insight into what that process looked like for Ole Miss as they decided that, hey, Chris Beard is who they wanted, and then going ahead and making it official?
Sure. So there was an extensive background check, which happens at most of these head coaching hires, particularly at the power conference level. But they needed to make sure, Ole Miss did, they had every available detail. I mean, they read the police report. So now some of that stuff was retracted, but still, Texas did fire Beard, not because he had at that time a looming felony charge over his head. Texas, in its determination, said Beard didn't comport himself in a manner which reflects well upon the university. We're gonna end this relationship now, and they fired him for cause. So he did not get anything on the remainder of his 7-year deal that was paying him $5 million. Ole Miss did everything that it felt it needed to do. Looked at the case, talked with Beard, talked with people who know Beard, talked with people across Beard's past, and have determined that they are comfortable moving forward. Ole Miss is putting itself at risk with this, because if anything were to happen, and I'm not saying it's going to, but I'm just stating the obvious here. If anything were to happen with Chris Beard that would reflect negatively upon him or the university in any realm even close to what got him fired from Texas, then understandably Ole Miss is going to get destroyed for even taking a chance on him to begin with. But maybe that's not the way this story goes. I mean, maybe this was a humongous mistake for Chris Beard, and let's hope it's a one-time only thing. Domestic violence is a very serious issue in this country and across the world. And hiring Chris Beard like this is going to send a signal to some that Ole Miss is not taking that issue seriously enough. There will be some that say, he did make a huge mistake. He is deserving of a second chance. And that's why this will be a polarizing move, a polarizing decision, a polarizing hire. But Chris Beard on the court, from a coaching perspective, undeniably is one of the best. And until the incident in early December with his fiance, carried one of the best reputations in terms of a coach that had a rapid ascent over a 5-year period, brought Texas Tech to the national championship game, and obviously was doing well with Texas before he found himself in handcuffs on a charge that eventually later got dropped earlier this year.
Ole Miss, of course, in this position after firing Kermit Davis, a trying season for them, 12-21 and 3-15 in SEC play. What can we expect to see from Chris Beard now as he slides in there as the head coach?
The expectations part of this, the basketball part of this is intriguing. Ole Miss for a very, very long time was a nothing job. And in many ways, it still kind of is, at least at the power conference level. I mean, in talking to people around the industry in the past month or so, before Kermit Davis got fired, that was long expected. This really is regarded as a bottom 10 job at the power conference level. Within the SEC, maybe only Mississippi State is worse. So the entry point here, if you get Ole Miss into the tournament once every 3 years, you've done a wonderful job. And obviously they're going to hire Beard thinking that he can get them in there on an annual basis. The NIL situation at Ole Miss is good. It's not the best within that conference. The transfer portal officially went open today in college basketball, so you will have a litany of players putting their names in, and obviously Ole Miss is going to be, as Beard develops and builds out his staff, is going to be going into the portal to try and flip the situation to get Ole Miss to be a contender in the SEC next season. We'll see if he can do that. It is a very noisy, headline-making hire, and Ole Miss is a tough job. If Chris Beard, got Little Rock to the tournament, upset Purdue some years ago, which led him to Texas Tech, getting them to places they had never been before, that's why Ole Miss is doing this. Chris Beard has gone to places and achieved things that had never been done at those places before. They want that exact thing to happen there with him at Ole Miss.
Matt Norlander, a very busy man, breaking down the latest hiring over at Ole Miss, bringing in Chris Beard to be their new head men's basketball coach. Matt, thank you very much. And we mentioned he's busy because it is March Madness time, and you can check him out along with Gary Parrish on the Ion College Basketball Podcast. With Selection Sunday now behind us and the brackets officially out, the guys are breaking down bit by bit everything you need to know for the NCAA tournament. It's an entertaining episode. Like, subscribe, give a follow to that top-notch audio out there.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.